Hi friends, I've got a really basic video today. Sorry for the poor quality, but I just have a new library that I've made for CircuitPython that I think is pretty interesting. This is an evolution of Pico Synth Sandbox, which I kind of crammed a bunch of stuff into, a bunch of really cool stuff, but I felt like it was better to separate some of those things and work on them on their own, to make them even better and more useful for you and your project, right? And so what I've created here is the Synth keyboard library. This library is specifically designed as a helper tool for managing note allocation when you have a limited set of voices, which I'll talk about in a little bit, as well as doing some fun stuff like arpeggiators and sequencers, and there's probably more that you can do. Oh, sustain pedals, stuff like that. Things that when you want to create a fun little synth using CircuitPython, you don't really want to have to worry about. So hopefully this library can help you avoid those things. So what I've got here is, it's actually a Pico 2, an RP2350, Pomeroni Plus 2 board. It's pretty much the all-out, balls to the wall, PSRAM, flash, etc. But for our purposes, you don't actually need that much space for this library, but it's fun to have it anyways. Anyway, I have just, ignore the speaker here. I'm just using PWM output, which you can see on this little oscilloscope, and then that is going directly out. So the sound quality is not going to be great. You can kind of hear it later. It's pretty basic. And then this I have running into my audio interface just for monitoring, and I'm using Debian Linux with Pipewire. So they have a Pipewire graph, kind of like Jack, where we're taking that audio input, that single, and then just going to my speakers. But also, and this is the important part, we're using it as a USB MIDI device, the Pico Plus. You can see there, Pico Plus 2. We are wiring over the USB key station, which is my keyboard right here. That is being directly fed into the Pico Plus. And because of that, we can get notes and other control messages, etc. through it. So the code itself is available on the Read the Docs. I'll have links in the description. It's relatively readable. I did my best to use kind of, the CircuitPython design guide for handling properties and stuff like that. So it's relatively simple. Anyway, the documentation will be attached. There's a couple examples. I have examples of the arpeggiator, sequencer, doing some like physical button keys, as well as just basic tests to just see how this library works. So in our example, we only have 4 notes here, which really Synth.io, at least on a standard Pico, I'm not sure if it's expanded in the Pico 2, but in a standard Pico can handle, I think, 12 notes at a time, which sounds great and all, but in a lot of cases, you may want 2 notes running at the same time for like an oscillator that has 2 different, oscillators in it, I guess. And so all of a sudden, you have 6, and 6 is a lot less than 12, and the next thing you know, you have to start worrying about what if somebody slams their hand down on the keyboard and presses 8, 10 notes at a time. What is that functionality going to look like? So in our case, we're just using the default settings, which are found underneath this keyboard mode option, high, last, low. I'm just using high, which kind of makes sense in this case. Just to, like, if you're doing a monophonic synthesizer especially, you probably want high, so you can do some cool stuff. And I'm just allocating the notes I play on this keyboard to the 4 notes available in the Synth.io. So let's hear this in action. Let me turn it up just a little bit for y'all. So there are 4 notes, but let's say, what if I play a 5th note? So you may have noticed that last note cut out there. So like if we do 1, 2, 3, and then there's no low note, but if I remove, it comes back. Anyway, that's kind of the idea. So it works like a standard, key bed of some form. Of course, I went ahead because I was getting fancy with the example. I added some other features such as vibrato, as well as pitch shift. Just, to show you that you can still do those things with this system. And that's about it, honestly. It's a very simple library. I don't have a demonstration of the arpeggiator at the ready, but it's not hard to use that. The one thing to note about the arpeggiator and the sequencer is that you kind of need to use async.io, the async.io library, to do all the timing functions of that. And you'll see in the examples how that works. But when you're doing a lot of things like handling MIDI input, managing actual key input, etc., you kind of need to have a couple of async.io tasks going at the same time. And I don't have a demonstration exactly of that, but it's not hard to do. If you look at the simple tests within the async.io library, you pretty much just use it like that. And I mean, it'd be great to do everything in a single while loop, but there might be some issues with timing and stuff, and it's just better to use async.io if you can. Anyway, so that just about does it. I hope you have a good one. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any, oh, I didn't demonstrate the sustain pedal. Let me do that. Okay, sustain pedal's pretty simple. If I have the pedal activated, okay, just trust me, I'm hitting it with my elbow. There are some minor issues with the releases of the sustain pedal that I probably need to look into, but for now, I think it's fine. There's, like I said, if you're interested in this library, you want to contribute, let me know. I'm looking towards pushing it towards CircuitPython if that works within their community bundle. But yeah, have a great day. Thank you.